one of the most unattractive things a man can do is to hate what he's doing in his life.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, someday I'll no. Women want, and I tell guys, because a lot of guys will say, well, women just want the successful guys, the guy with money, the guy with nice cars. Most women are smart enough to bank on potential, right? Women are actually pretty good at seeing a man's potential. And it is heartbreaking to women when men fail to live up to the potential they see in them. Potential doesn't mean you're putting off till later. Potential means, you've got the skill set, you've got the talent, you got the passion, you got the vision. And it's always a process. We don't get there overnight. But if a woman can see you moving in that direction, that is sexy as hell.
What exactly is a nice guy?
That's a good question. A nice guy, and this applies to nice girls as well, but since I work with men and apparently you have a male audience, we'll focus it on men. The thumbnail nice guy definition is a guy that doesn't believe he's just okay, just as he is. And he believes he has to become what he thinks other people want him to be, and or hide anything about him that might get a negative reaction from anybody. So, he's a chameleon. There's no real him there. He's always trying to figure out how do I fit in? How do I be liked? How do I not get rejected? How do I, not have a negative reaction to anything? And this is, my theory is this was typically formed very, very early in life, in infancy and childhood, when through various uncomfortable situations that all children have. We're cold and nobody wraps us up, or we're hungry and nobody feeds us, or we mess in our diaper and nobody changes us, or our parents are yelling or angry or addicted or whatever it might be. Children always internalize they're the cause of that. So there must be something wrong with me that I cause these painful things in life. Every human then kind of manages that with different, life management skills. The nice guy is just one form of trying to manage that. Oh, I must cause all these problems. It's kind of a grandiose, narcissistic view, but that's how children view themselves in the world. And so I got to be good. I can't rock the boat. I can't make mom unhappy. I got to hide my needs. I got to hide my penis. I've got to do everything right. I got to make good grades. I got to be different than dad. And all this stuff kind of starts just piling up, especially as you hit adolescence. And when guys want to start being noticed by girls, is it really takes full bloom. It did for me, and it does for a lot of men. That, I'll be the nice guy. I'll treat women different. I won't be a jerk. I'll hide my sexual agenda. I'll listen to them talk about the problems. I'll help them do stuff. And I call that nice guy seduction. And so it is that basically trying to be something so that people will like us, because we don't think they're going to like us. In fact, when I talk with guys about dating, I really stress, be you, be the authentic you. And guys will always say, women don't seem to like the me that I am. And I go, really? Have you ever really let a woman see you? Do you let you see you? I mean, do you ever let anybody like all the way in and see the depths of who you are? Most of us never look at our own depths, our own shadows, our own insecurities. So I think most of us never even give other people a chance to even like us with our rough edges and imperfections and flaws. But I think that's actually what makes us interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a hard thing to do. Even though I'm a woman, I have the people.
Oh, I don't let people use that word. Can't use that word. It's hard to do.
Busted. Busted. I talk a lot about sex eyes. When a woman makes eye contact with you, that's usually a clear sign that we want the guy to come talk to us. But what are some other high interest signals that a woman will give you?
Well, I gave actually the best ones there. And what I'll say to that is, again, we intellectualize the shit out of everything, and especially women and dating and attraction. We like reading books. We like being online. We like the red pill. We like game. We like pickup, because we think there's these magic formulas that will, help us get the hot women, right? And so, yes, you can go researched to death indicators of interest. Did her eyes dilate? What the fuck? I'm not that close to see if her eyes dilated or not. Is she twirling her hair? I hate to tell you guys, but stupid women twirl their hair regularly, right? I'm not making that up, am I? They sit there waiting at a red light, looking at text messages and twirling their hair. That's not a sign of it. It's not an indicator of interest, even though the dating gurus will tell you. Did she cross her ankles just right? It's actually more obvious than that. Women will make eye contact with you. They'll smile at you, maybe kind of cock their head just a little bit, maybe stand a little bit too close, walk in front of you 2 or 3 times, laugh at your dumb jokes, touch your arm, kind of lean in a little bit. And again, they do. I used to think that waitresses in a restaurant, when they came to put stuff on the table and they kind of brushed up against you, I just thought that's either an accident or it's working for tips. It's not. And I used to really think when they bent over and you get a whole cleavage shot as their blouse kind of, I used to, they didn't realize, they just put their boobs on display. They did. They knew it, right? It's a practiced skill. And the one that my wife points out that I didn't really realize, and it's much more common than men would ever guess, is the jutting of a hip. Is kind of, when, especially if you're behind them and they just kind of jut a hip out to the side, that's a primate mating gesture. And we're primates. And so, again, we men try to make this all way too complicated. Does the woman seem to be, at least looking your way, opening herself to you? I tell this one story. This happened just a couple of years ago. I was actually in LA visiting my buddy, Dr. Pariser. And I was at a Starbucks there, just working. And I was at a table, sitting on, working on my laptop. And some woman, a young woman, probably in her early 20s, came and sat down across from me. It's a large enough table to have 2 people at it. Neither one of us said a word, but she just kind of sat down on me and just, here I am. She didn't say anything, no real obvious signals, just there she was. And I worked for a little while and I was hungry. So I was in a little shopping mall. So I went out, got a sandwich, and I went and sat in an outdoor courtyard. And so I sat down at a table and the sun's shining and I'm kind of sitting at a table, I think maybe reading my Kindle by this time. And I look up and she's sitting in a chair right in front of me, about 12, 15 feet in front of me. She's reading a book. And when she kind of looks up and notices I've seen her, she then moves her body directly in front of mine and spreads her legs a little bit. I'm thinking, okay. and so then I just kind of went back to reading, and then the sun was on the back of my head. And so I kind of turned 90 degrees and I'm reading my book. And a few minutes later, I looked up, she's moved and she's still in front of me. Right now, the old me that would have said that those are all coincidences, that can't mean anything, blah, blah, blah. I'm reading too much into it. No, you can't dismiss that she kept putting herself in front of me. And when she noticed I noticed her, she opened her body to me. And, if I wasn't in a relationship, I would have tested that. I would have engaged her, right? Because she sent signals. I have to now go get to rejection quickly. I got to go engage and find out, was it all coincidence? Did my mind get too carried away? Or was there something there? And am I interested in going further with it as well? So when the women send the signals, and they can be subtle, right? You women don't want to put up a billboard that says, ask me for my number, asshole. You want us to notice the more subtle signals that you send. The smile, you've got a gorgeous smile. And if I saw that smile, I would engage you because it's an invitation. Again, that's to me the walking through open doors. The pounding on a closed door that a woman doesn't even know I exist, and she's in a bar or a club surrounded by 800 other guys that all want to get her attention and be with her, and I got to walk up and make my way through and get her to pay attention to me and have something clever enough to make her want to talk to me and then want to keep talking to me, other than me getting her drunk. That's too much work. That's just way too much work. So I would suggest that guys get a trusted female friend as a wing woman, and have the trusted female friend coach them on the signals that women send. Now, if she's a good friend, she'll do it. Sometimes women don't really want to, give away, this information, that what other women do. But just think about, we're primates, we're animals. We do like they do on the Animal Channel. We send signals of interest. And we men, especially the nice guys I work with, they have so many self-limiting beliefs. Well, women aren't interested in me. These are mine. Women don't find me attractive. Women don't want to get naked with me. Women don't want to sleep with me. And if that's your core belief system, you won't see the signals you send. And often when I'm out with buddies, I'll say, that woman's sending you a signal. That woman's trying to get your attention. That one, and they always go, no, you're making that up. No. And I go, no, I ain't making it up. Yeah, this is what I do. I'm a professional. But we guys don't want to believe it because, I don't know, it doesn't match our beliefs about ourselves, women in the world. So I don't know where exactly. Oh yeah, the signals women send. Did I get close enough to answering that?
I think so. I would be really curious. This is my own question coming from that. What would be the way that you would engage her? Like the girl at the coffee shop that kept trying to get in front of you, how would you engage her?
Yeah, several years ago when my son and stepson were like 20 in college, I went out with them one night in Scottsdale, Arizona. They wanted to go to a club. It wasn't my scene, but I went with them. So I just kind of leaned against the bar and just talked to whoever came by. And there were a couple women came up and, were standing next to me. Yeah, they looked my way. And I just said, well, what's the worst pickup line you've heard tonight? They said, that one. And I said, good. I said, what's the best pickup line? Hello. We men get way too complicated. So yeah, if I wanted to engage a woman, I just would have walked over and said, hey, I'm Robert. What's your name? And really, that's all you got to do is just start something. And I'd usually say, are you from around here? Especially because I live in a foreign country, that's an easy, where are you from? But you can ask that in your hometown. Are you from around here? And that just opens the door to start having a conversation. It's not clever. It's not, hypnosis. It's not tricks. It's not juggling. Introduce yourself, ask your name, say from you around here. And then if there's something kind of unusual or unique or funny or something about her, kind of, say something about it. Kind of like as dumb as, the last guy asking the question said he's in Seattle. And so, right, shout out to 206 or the 425. Just something like that. Just let stuff come out, that whatever is inside of you. And it doesn't have to be rocket science or clever. But I just go to say, hi, I'm Robert. And are you from around here? And, I'm visiting, and then I might ask her a question. Like, what's a good place around here for X, Y, or Z? And then if I wanted to test her, if it really have high interest, I'd say, give me your number. I got to bounce, but give me your number. I'm going to text you later on because I got some free time later on, and I want to hook up with you. And so, if she gives you the number, and especially if she spells her name, that's a good sign, So just go engage if they seem to, keep showing high interest and engaging with you. And if you want to see how high the interest is, and if you want to maybe continue this, I say, get a number. I always pull my phone out and I say, give me your number. I'm going to call you later or text you later, whatever. And I got some time and an idea of something I want to do. And if she gives the number, right, that's high interest, I key it into my phone right then. And I call her right then. I said, and then when it goes to voicemail, if it's the right number, I never get bogus numbers. It'll vibrate in her purse, and it goes to voicemail. I'll say her name. I say, this is Robert. I'm standing right in front of you, out in front of Starbucks. I want you to know whose number this was on your cell phone. I'm going to call you later. I got some plans. And then I'd usually say, I got to bounce. And there's something about removing yourself from that situation that creates attention that then you can come back to. And then that continues to measure how high of interest they have in engaging with you.
Love it. I totally agree. Very cool. All right. So another question we have is, how do you avoid being the nice guy, but not come across as a jerk?
Okay. That's a standard nice guy question, because we're pretty black and white. It's either this or that, right? I'm a wussy doormat or I'm an asshole jerk. It's, got to be one of the two. And without giving a whole nice guy recovery workshop right now, what I tell guys, guys will say, I read your book, or I understand being a nice guy doesn't serve me, but I don't want to be the asshole. How do I find that middle ground? And my answer usually is, I don't know where the tipping point is between two toxic extremes. Nice guy, asshole, jerk are both, just for lack of a better term, a toxic way of living in the world. They're not authentic ways of living in the world. I think both the asshole and the nice guy are both living in fight, flight, freeze. They're anxiety-driven people. The nice guy's just using the pleasing, the flight and the freezing mode to try to manage their anxiety. The jerk's just using the fight mode to manage anxiety. So what we got to do is learn to soothe our anxiety and to get up out of that lower way of functioning, kind of that just like survival mode. I got to be nice to survive. I'll die if I'm not nice, or I got to intimidate people, because I'll die if I can't intimidate people. All of those are just trying to manage our anxiety. If we can learn to soothe our anxiety, live with more integrity, ask ourselves, what do we want, and then do it. That's called differentiation. Then we become a more authentic person. And to me, the really key part about that is learning to soothe our anxiety states. And often, especially nice guys, we don't realize how anxious we are. And I often say that pretty much everything a nice guy does is either meant to hide his shame or manage his anxiety. And so we don't want people to see, oh, I'm not lovable, or I'm not good enough, or smart enough, or don't have a big enough dick, or my anxiety is, what if I get this wrong? What if I make a mistake? What if they leave me? What if I look foolish? And so most of the work I deal with men to really transform them, not just give them a few tips of how to talk to women, but to really transform, often involves getting them in a safe place where they can just be them, reveal themselves, let go of shame, and to help them learn to soothe their anxiety states and learn to embody the kind of energy they want to project. And I'm in a men's program myself that focuses a lot on this embodiment kind of work. And so even in my 60s, I'm still working on this stuff, because what got wired into our emotional operating system at a very early age, it's deeply wired in. And it takes, I think, a lifetime of work to keep unwinding that and to keep unwriting it and overwriting it. And I just think that's what life's all about, is finding new situations that challenge us and trigger our anxiety or trigger our shame and trigger our fear, and find ways to lean into that and soothe ourselves and get support and accountability and get a healthier way of viewing ourselves in the world. And I think conscious dating is just a really great way to practice that. I believe conscious relationships are as well. And conscious sex, those are all great ways to lean into our fear, shame, and anxiety and work at cleaning it out. So I forget what your original question was, but those are the pieces I really work on with men.
I love it. I love it. And so this is kind of related to that same question, but what are some methods for becoming more authentic and maybe soothing that anxiousness or that anxiety that we get in early childhood?
Yeah, that's a good question. And, in the beginning of No More Mr. Nice Guy and throughout the book, and I've been preaching this for years, I tell guys, don't try to do this on your own. You can't. You cannot release internalized shame on your own, because you internalized it in the context of people. And to just say, well, I'm not bad, I'm good. That doesn't usually release the shame, because we still think it's an emotional belief. The anxiety is hard to overcome on our own as well. So I encourage guys, well, anybody that wants to make any kind of change, get into a safe group of people. Now, I love men's groups. I began my own personal recovery from nice guy syndrome before I knew it was nice guy syndrome in a 12-step group. My second wife said, "You're a sex addict." Well, I wanted to have sex with her and she didn't. So then she assumed I was a sex addict. And she said, you got to go get, into recovery for sex addiction. And I thought, well, I don't really think I'm a sex addict. So I went to a 12-step group for sex addiction and quickly found out I wasn't a sex addict. I wasn't having enough sex to be a sex addict. But it was so cool because it was a group of all men and, all sex addicts. And some of these guys' lives were really out of control. I mean, there's some pretty messed up stuff that these guys couldn't quit doing. And I'd go there and say, yeah, I kind of had this, dark impulse the other day. And they're going, yeah, glad you're here, Robert. But it was beautiful because for me, I grew up in a fundamental Christian church, critical father, trying to please my mother during the angry feminism of the 60s and 70s. I didn't want to be a bad man. And so I go to this group, and for the first time in my life, I just started revealing me. I started telling people about myself. I shared things I'd never shared. I talked about things I'd done, secrets I had, impulses I had. And, this group met like at 5 a.m. I think, what the fuck? But I got excited about getting up and going, because for the first time in my life, I got to be real. I got to be authentic. I started working with a therapist. Then later joined another men's group that I was in for 5 or 6 years. I've led men's groups for years when I was in private practice in the Seattle area before I started living in Mexico, at least part of the year. I was leading 5 men's groups a week. And like I said, I'm still in a men's program. So go find safe people. Men, especially, go get with men. Because I've worked with female therapists who really helped me a lot. But in general, we men, the golden rule of men nowadays is don't piss off the woman, or don't do anything that a woman might have a negative reaction to, even if you don't know the woman, because we like an earlier caller said, we put women on pedestals. And if they look at us, scowl, or whatever, oh no, I've done something wrong. Go get with men and start just revealing the stuff about you don't want to reveal. And what you'll soon find out is that the guys like you even better. The realer you are, the more you just put your stuff out there and let it be seen, the more you can stumble and make a mistake and look foolish and laugh it off. It's very attractive. And then so as you can kind of build that confidence with men in a safe place, whether it be a men's group, 12-step group, Mankind Project, there's so many ways to do this now. So many virtual men's groups, men's programs out there now. Just Google it, and there's a multitude of programs, and just get with men and practice revealing you. And to me, that is transformational. And then it lets you be real in your other relationships. So now when you're talking to a woman, instead of trying to impress her or say something clever or buy her a bunch of alcohol, or, you just be real and authentic. And you tell her, hey, I sucked my thumb till I was in kindergarten, and you don't care, it doesn't matter. And then she goes, oh, I wet my bed, or, and all of a sudden you're having a real conversation with a person, not like, how are we going to impress each other? And, and it's just more interesting. It's more fun.
Love it. Love it. Okay. And another question I have is, what are some examples of what a clear purpose in life looks like?
Oh, that's a good question. It's a good question because most men struggle with that. And I know I'm a fan of David Data, and I love his book, Way of the Superior Man. But I don't agree with everything that the data says. And one of them is he talks about a man's purpose as if it's a singular thing. It is this thing. You're here to do this thing. Now, he also believes in karma and that we're repeating multiple lives till we get something right. I don't know that I believe that, but it doesn't matter. So what I found is a lot of men will read data stuff. And again, I love it. And then they come, like, I meet up with them in therapy or in a group or something, and they go, I'm just suffering because I can't find my purpose. I go, have you been reading David Data? Yeah, I just got to find my purpose. And I go, you're killing yourself, man. Listen, what I tell guys is I don't believe purpose is singular. I don't think it's the one thing I was put here to do. Now, Data does say you may finish a purpose, it may dissolve, you may be done, and then you just kind of, like the Buddhists would say, sit in the mud. Just sit till your next purpose comes. I don't know that actually reveals purpose all that well either. But one of the things that you can just do is if you just can be still for a little bit, is ask yourself, if I didn't have to pay the bills, if I didn't have to impress anybody, if I didn't care what anybody thought, if I just did what I wanted in life, what might that look like? And there's some good clues in that. But here's what I teach guys. Do everything that you do with passion and purpose. Consciously brush your teeth with passion and purpose. Shave your face. I love shaving my face. Drive your car with purpose and passion. Do everything you do with purpose and passion. And what you start noticing is that you're a purposeful, passionate person. Not because you found that one thing that you were put here to do. Now, I think doing that helps you find things the bigger picture of it, whether it be vocation or hobby or whatever it looks like. I think living purposefully keeps opening doors for things that align with your deepest desires. But again, most nice guys, because we've been taught to please everybody else, we're not differentiated. We don't ask ourselves, what do I want? What feels right to me? What feels right to me? If we do ever ask that, we don't do it because our own anxiety or neurotic guilt gets in the way, or we get the change back messages from family or wife or people around us. So we just stay stuck doing this thing that we happen to end up doing when we got out of college or out of the military, or I got fired from our previous job. And so we're just doing whatever it is we're doing. Now, people say, you might have been the one that said that, when I live in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, people, oh, you're so lucky. And I usually look at them and say, actually, no luck involved. It was a lot of fucking hard work to get to live here. And, they say, oh, you've written a book and you're living a good life. And, you have this and you have that. Hey, getting a PhD by 29 took some fucking work. Writing a book took 7 years of my life. Writing another book took another several years. Another book took another several years. Getting to Mexico meant walking away from a business that was working well and launching into an online business before people were launching online coaching and therapy and classes and stuff like that. But I wanted to be here. I was passionate about it. I found a way to make it happen. And what I found that if you listen to what lights you up, what really excites you, and just find a way to do that as much as you can. And guys will say, well, I don't know that I can make a living at doing it. And one of my mantras is, what one man can do, another man can do. If one man has gotten wealthy taking pictures, another man can do it. If one man's gotten wealthy writing songs and making music, another man can do it. If one man has succeeded as a dating coach, another woman can do it. What can be done again. But again, our self-limiting beliefs say, well, that's not me. That's somebody else that was good, or somebody else. No, I had no end game in how I live my life. I just get up every day and do the stuff that most excites me. And that's worked out pretty well. And so I go back to do everything you do purposefully and passionately. Don't sleepwalk your way through shit. Don't live with, oh no, I got to do this. I say, turn every, oh no, I have to, into, oh boy, I get to. If there's something you don't really want to do, find the bright side of it. Find something to be excited about doing it and bring that kind of energy. When I said earlier, and you were nodding your head, yeah, women are attracted to a man who looks like he knows where he's going and having a good time getting there. Right? It's fundamental, it's wired into women's biology. And so if you're doing everything you do passionately, if you walk into a restaurant and you're passionate, you own the room, you order your meals passionately, it reverberates, it sends an energy, a vibration out that just draws interesting things. Beautiful women, cats, dogs, grandmas, babies, opportunity, money. It's just, and I'm not even talking about the whole law of attraction thing. I'm talking about just getting up and being glad to be you and living life on your terms. And again, that's taken me years, and it took a lot of therapy, and it took men's groups, and it took facing a lot of fears, and it took ending some marriages, and it took moving a business, and it took closing a business, and it took moving to a foreign country where I didn't speak a language. It took a lot of risks. And even like I said, marrying a woman younger than me, dropped out of high school, poor, 2 kids, that was a risk. And all these risks I've taken have paid off big time. And because I was passionate about it.
I love it. I feel like there's a common thread there with being the nice guy and doing what you think other people want you to do. And then breaking through that and realizing this is what I want for my life. This is what I'm going to go get. And as a woman, I'll say one of the most unattractive things a man can do is to hate what he's doing in his life.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, someday I'll no. Women want, and I tell guys, because a lot of guys will say, well, women just want the successful guys, the guy with money, the guy with nice cars. Most women are smart enough to bank on potential. Right? Women are actually pretty good at seeing a man's potential. And it is heartbreaking to women when men fail to live up to the potential they see in them. Right? Mm-hmm. So potential doesn't mean you're putting off till later. Potential means, you've got the skill set, you've got the talent, you got the passion, you got the vision. And it's always a process. We don't get there overnight. But if a woman can see you moving in that direction, that is sexy as hell to a woman. It's a turn on. You may just be pre-med in college, but she sees that guy's got a plan. He's going somewhere. She may see that, you're an entrepreneur and, you're wearing 15 different hats trying to launch your business, and she sees you working your ass off at it, 18 hours a day. That's a potential women will go to the bank on. Now, if you're sitting around smoking dope, playing video games, and binging out on Netflix, what's the fuck the potential in that? That's not attractive to women, but that's where a lot of guys, especially younger generation, spend their time. I call it hanging out in the nursery, where nothing ever challenges them. Hey, I can look at porn all day long. I can drink all I want. I can smoke all the dope I want. I can, watch all the television. I can play all the video games. I can surf and watch YouTube all day and night. I can play World of Warcraft till 4 a.m. and none of that will get you laid.